The healing power of nature, how scientists are using the great outdoors to treat mental illness, plus extreme sports, a thrill-seeker's playground, or a tragedy just waiting to happen. I'm Martin Stanford. This is Insight. Now, you've heard the expression, time to get back to nature. Well, for a group of researchers in the United Kingdom, that's precisely the approach being used to tackle mental illness. It's called wilderness therapy, and studies have shown that activities like canoeing and hiking can actually have a positive effect on our brain's chemistry. Insight's Dana Lewis took to the waters of the Welsh countryside to put the theory to the test.
In the sparkling water of the River Wye in Wales, they are launching canoes and trying to paddle people towards inner transformation.
There's huge science behind it. So for the last 10 years we've been doing research on looking at what happens to the connections of nature and significant shifts in hopefulness, in mood, in self-esteem and confidence.
I suffer from really bad depression. Just literally lock myself in my room and just play computer or listen to music, lay in my bed.
20-year-old Harry Harmer says he had to overcome fear and force himself to get into that canoe. He's part of a group of young people suffering anxiety and varying forms of depression. He doesn't usually leave his house in England, sometimes for weeks at a time, and suddenly he's got to navigate rapids.
Being out here in the nature is a really, really special thing for me because it's just so beautiful. And I feel like if every person that is going through like depression and all that, go out in nature, like do something like this, go out canoeing or whatever. It's just really like calms you down, like when you see the water. I just don't get depressed. Like I have too much, like I have no thoughts in my head because I'm too busy rowing and looking at the view. It's just really good.
For 3 days they are paddling, just today navigating and pushing through 12 miles of river. It's called Wilderness Therapy, run by therapist Joe Roberts.
We're taking people right out of a comfort zone. Most of our young people are urban. Most of our young people do not get a lot of contact with wild nature. And what happens in wild nature is that it's unpredictable. And you have to find ways of managing yourself in this environment. And that's the power of the magic of working in nature. It's learning to adapt, adjust, and go with the flow. We are going with the flow here. But this flow is going to suddenly change, and we're going to have to change tack really quickly. And to me, that is a metaphor of life.
I get angry really easily over like smallest things sometimes.
16-year-old Kyle has a short fuse. At home, at school, here he's learning in a group to manage his temper.
It's changed me in a good way. When I first went on the river, because I've never been in a boat before, the smallest rock of a boat would scare me and I'd get annoyed. And with these projects that I've been on, it's helped me to not hit anything or yell at anyone.
James suffers what he calls severe depression at times, but not out here.
I was a bit nervous about coming here, but like now I've been here a few days, it's like it's cleared my mind completely, and yeah, I just like feel almost like reborn, you could say.
Researchers at the University of Essex in England have tracked the program for a decade. They say there is science to support wilderness therapy directly linked to building self-confidence and being in nature.
What we do know is that self-esteem is increasing. There's a link between self-esteem and depression. So therefore, if somebody's on medication for depression, you'd think that these experiences would drag them in the right direction along with that medication.
There's a growing number of health professionals who think the key in fighting depression doesn't lie in prescribing more pills and medication, but in fact taking people out of controlled groups, teaching them how to overcome adversity, and also just physical exercise, the use of muscles acting as a filter in the body to rid the body of natural chemicals that have been linked to depression.
A new study indicates exercise actually detoxes harmful chemicals from the body and can alleviate depression. Researchers in Sweden say skeletal muscle appears to protect the brain from mental illness by producing an enzyme which turns molecules linked to depression into a harmless acid.
What we found is that if you have trained muscle through exercise, you activate your muscle to filter that molecule out, so it prevents it from accumulating in your brain. I always remind people that muscle is basically 50% of your body. It's a lot of tissue detoxifying something that could be harmful for you.
After 5 hours of canoeing, Kyle is tired and annoyed, but holding his temper.
We're tired, our muscles are sore.
This is a group that talks of overcoming.
I'm in a really uplifting mood. I think the nature looks absolutely stunning now that we've got a bit of sun.
And what's your one word?
Challenging.
Challenging. And we've got to really dig deep, keep our paddles going. It's like life. We're going to hit rocky bits in life where we're going to struggle. Let's use this river as a real test for ourselves, that when things get tough, we can just pull our way through it, okay? And just when stuff gets difficult when we get home again, just remember that feeling of just having to dig deep. We can do it.
And for Harry, something has clicked.
I think I can achieve a lot in life now. Feel more confident in myself, feel positive about myself.
Just another couple of miles to go, and reflections this day could be life-changing. I'm Dana Lewis, reporting for Insight.
Well, to discuss that further, I'm joined in the studio by Professor John Brewer. He's head of School of Sport, Health and Applied Science at St Mary's University in London. And joining us on a Skype call from Fife in Scotland is Elaine Wiley, the founder of the Daily Mile, a scheme which encourages children's fitness. Elaine, with you in a moment. John Brewer, first of all, does this kind of activity work for everyone?
Certainly exercise does. We've known for some time that exercise improves physical well-being, you get lower blood pressure and so on. But I think what we've seen is that exercise at all levels will help people cope with mental stress and anxiety. Now clearly if you're somebody who regularly exercises, sometimes you need to find yourself exercising at a slightly higher intensity than just doing walking or low-level activity. But if you do nothing, if you're a couch potato and the most you ever do is press the remote control button, then that type of activity and getting out there into nature and engaging with the external environment has been shown to have real beneficial mental benefits as well as physical benefits.
And what is it about it? Is it the cold? Is it the fresh air? Do we know the chemistry? What's going on with our bodies which triggers this effect?
Well, there's a number of things. We know first and foremost that when you exercise, you produce a substance called endorphins. And that's a natural opiate that appears in the body. It's a sort of almost a painkiller, and it gives people a high. And we often hear of the runner's high that runners will get when they've come back from a run. But at the same time, there are other factors. There's the whole socialization of it. And if you are perhaps depressed or anxious because you live alone and in an enclosed environment, going out and externally engaging with other people, getting company, getting conversation going, can be really beneficial. Of course, you're also burning calories. Those calories will help you to lose weight. You'll get fitter at the same time. So there is a whole feeling of self-esteem that people have. They feel better, they look better, and that gives them more self-confidence. Again, one of the things that helps people feel and behave in a much better way.
Let's bring in Elaine Wiley. How does your Daily Mile work, Elaine?
The children go out for 15 minutes and they walk, jog or run, mainly running, with their friends in the fresh air, having a bit of fun, being social, and then it's straight back to class and focused.
And what difference do you see in some of the children who haven't done this sort of thing before, and what are they like afterwards?
These are the ones who have the most transformational change, the ones who were sedentary, who didn't take part in physical activity, brought the note for PE, didn't want to join in PE. These are the ones who join in the Daily Mile, they're inspired to do it, they're outside in the weather, in the fresh air, in the wind, in the damp, in the sunshine. And these are the ones who did the least, who are benefiting most.
Do you compel them to do it, or do they have to volunteer?
All children go out to do the Daily Mile. It's every child, every day. They are encouraged to run. They sometimes walk, but 1 or 2 children across the country have said, I'm not doing this. However, we have been told that they simply join in with their friends and they walk and then they start to run. So we don't get refusers.
John Brooke, there is the element of boot camp style activities, particularly for teens, maybe troubled teens and things like that, which the Americans do. They have some negative reports, don't they? Because there is an element of compulsion. It's like joining the military and you're sort of shouted at and bullied. On the argument, it's going to do them good in the end. But do they work?
Well, you get this adage of no pain, no gain, and you'll hear and see many people who think that you have to thrash yourself and work at a very high level in order to get benefits. We've certainly seen from our studies at St Mary's University that exercising at a low intensity, what I would term a tolerable level of discomfort, where you can have a conversation with a friend, where you can appreciate the external environment and just enjoy what you're doing, is equally beneficial. We've seen studies where it will show that it lowers cholesterol levels, it reduces body fat, it reduces obesity. You don't have to be exercising in an environment that is causing you to sweat copiously and grimace and be absolutely exhausted at the end.
Is it important to change the environment, to go out of your comfort zone, i.e. you're a bit colder than you might be, or it's a bit damp out there and you're in the rain, or you're mucking about in or falling in water, for instance?
I think it's important to do something that you enjoy doing, and we've seen from retention studies that people will continue to exercise for a long time, for life hopefully, if they're doing an activity that they enjoy. So it's finding something that you're comfortable with, also bringing in some variety and doing some cycling one day, some canoeing another day, some swimming another day. That helps to put a bit of spice to it and make sure that you don't get bored. But at the same time, exercise at a level where you feel that you're enjoying yourself, you're burning those calories off, but you're not necessarily exhausting yourself. Now, for some people, getting exhausted is fun and they enjoy doing that. For others, that's not something that they want to do, and it can be very off-putting.
And Elaine, how important is it that the children enjoy the activity, or it becomes second nature to them, that they probably miss it if they don't do it?
That's exactly what's happened with the Daily Mile. It has normalised running for the children. And the key point in sustaining the Daily Mile in a school, across all settings, across the country, is that the children enjoy it. They're having fun, it's social, they're out there with their friends, using the language of friendship to support each other and enjoying themselves. They report a sense of freedom, even though, of course, they're in a risk-assessed environment and supervised by their teachers, but they feel free, and they feel that freedom of running in the weather and seeing the seasons go by, and the fact that it's fun and they enjoy it is absolutely vital to its sustainability.
Well, thank you for being with us, Elaine Wiley and John Brewer. Thank you both. This is Insight. Coming up, not for the faint-hearted, the adrenaline junkies risking life and limb, all in the name of extreme sports.